Rifleman Remand Kalung of 1st Battalion Royal Gurkha Rifles attached to 1 Mercy and was injured after being crushed in the rubble of his accommodation at patrol base Bahadur in Helmand province. The inquest at Birmingham Coroner's Court heard medical evidence saying when he reached the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in the city, brain stem tests showed he had no brain function. Pathology tests showed this was likely due to his breathing being constricted by the rubble after the building's collapse. The inquest today focused on the resupply mission by an RAF Chinook helicopter which caused the building's collapse by hitting the structure during an abortive drop of an underslung load. Group Captain Richard Madison outlined the findings of a Military Aviation Authority report into the accident. He told the inquest that several major factors contributed to the accident, including a failure of personnel on the ground to notify the helicopter that a new wall had been constructed at the helicopter landing site, restricting the size of that landing site. Secondly, there was a failure by people on the ground to suppress the dust present on the helicopter landing site, caused in part by the building work. The helicopter was caught in what's known as a brownout, a severe dust storm caused by this dust which engulfed the Chinook. Sergeant Edward Bailey told the inquest that he could only just about see the hand in front of his face. He was one of the crewmen on board the helicopter. Sergeant Bailey then explained he called at that point for the drop to be aborted. A split second later, he said the helicopter struck the accommodation building where Rifleman Kalung was sleeping. The inquest also heard that fatigue played its part in the incident and that there was a lack of robust fatigue management or supervision. Members of the Chinook's crew had flown over 600 hours in 1 month prior to the incident, helping to supply patrol bases, the number of which had risen from around 20 to over 100. The inquest was told that for various reasons, including insurgent threat, the crew of the Chinook decided to attempt the underslung load drop on first pass, despite identifying the helicopter landing site late and not being at a level hover. The pilot on that day, Squadron Leader Norman, told the inquest that in hindsight he'd have taken more time over the approach, to which the coroner replied that hindsight was a wonderful thing, but had more time been taken, he might now be holding an inquest for the helicopter's crew. Coroner Aidan Cotter recorded that Rifleman Kalung had been accidentally killed, but said it was an accident which could and should have been avoided. He said there was no gross neglect in this tragic accident, but it was a culmination of a series of failings of individuals within an organisation and a failure of that organisation itself. But he did say it should be borne in mind that the Chinook crew, all involved on the ground, and the planners at Camp Bastion were operating under the very limited resources this country sees fit to make available for its operations. Tim Cooper, Forces News, Birmingham Coroner's Court.